WikiLeaks' latest report has sent shockwaves through diplomatic communities around the globe. But a new Forbes interview with founder Julian Assange reveals his next target is a lot closer to home. Joining us this morning first on CNBC is Andy Greenberg, technology staff writer for Forbes. Andy, good to see you this morning. And I was just looking through a transcript of your interview. It's fascinating. It's a little chilling. I guess the obvious question is, does he have the goods? Do you think he really has the goods on some of these banks?
I believe he does. And he's never not followed through on a threat in the past. And he told me that he has tens of thousands of documents from a U.S. bank that he plans to reveal in early 2011. He was very explicit about it, so I think we're going to see it.
What if he has them in his possession? Why the delay? Is he vetting them? Is he trying to verify them? He's certainly not going to let the companies see them in advance, right? And have any kind of response or rebuttal.
I think that the only rebuttal they're going to get is if he gives the documents under embargo to some media organizations. They might contact the companies for comment. Otherwise, there will be no chance, no forewarning whatsoever. I think that the reason that these haven't come out yet is because WikiLeaks does have very limited resources for they're a very influential organization, but they're still just run on donations. They don't have that many staffers, so they have to prioritize what they're publishing, and they've been focused on spilling the guts of government. And I think now that they've done that, to on such a grand scale, we should expect the same for businesses.
Yeah, there's obviously no point in asking you which bank, right? He would not say, and probably wouldn't give you many clues, or would he?
That's right. No, I pressed him as far as he would go, and he wouldn't say which bank. He wouldn't say what date. He wouldn't say exactly what he's got. All he would say is that he's got a huge trove of documents that are going to expose what he sees as some kind of unethical behavior.
Right. Pain for the guilty, as he puts it.
Right.
Although it's interesting because when it comes to diplomatic cables, he clearly has a very pure ideology, which is minimizing casualties. I'm wondering, his ideology when it comes to business is what? We're not dealing with life and death. So what is it the level of profit? Is it the way they treat consumers? Yeah, compensation?
I don't know what the issue is with this bank, but I can say that overall his idea is that leaks, that transparency lubricates the free market, and if he can expose the bad guys, then if he can expose the lemons, then consumers can find the better companies. Honest companies don't have to compete with dishonest competitors. He's really a true believer in this free information creates a free market philosophy.
You call them informational IEDs, and I'm sure there are a bunch of CEOs and CIOs this morning who are wondering, how do we prep for this if, in fact, we are one of the targets? What's the best advice? I imagine already security measures are going to be modified in light of the fact that he has these.
Right. The truth is, if you are the bank that has already lost these documents, I'm not sure what you can do. You go into crisis management controls, I suppose, but it's more important to think about how to prevent these leaks in the future or how to avoid these kinds of scandals. There are cybersecurity software measures you can take, like data leak prevention, network forensics, to find the leaker after the fact. But the best solution is probably just to be a more open, transparent company without as many of these dirty secrets that can be aired.
Yeah, although in the case of Bradley Manning, the private who helped disclose some of these diplomatic cables, information has to be handled by human beings, right? And it's going to be tough for companies to keep information from being seen by eyeballs. That's just how business works.
That's totally true. In security, the human is always the weakest link. There's not something that can be controlled with some kind of automated software. So we should expect that this is the age of involuntary corporate transparency. This is just the beginning of a whole series of corporate exposés that I think are probably going to be in the works from WikiLeaks and from a million copycats and other, even the mainstream media.
Andy, do you get the sense, just going back to what kind of ethical breach this is, do you get the sense that this is something that is going to shock people when they find out about it? Do you think there'll be serious smoking guns? Do you think it just raises questions? Any idea just on a radar of how significant this is going to be?
I don't know anything more about what's in these documents than you do, except to say that they're coming. But what we have seen, I think, from WikiLeaks is that they don't tend to surprise. That's certainly something that Assange values is the ability to shock people and to get attention. But at the same time, usually what we see is kind of something we already knew, but here's the smoking gun. Here's the proof of what was maybe the unspoken common knowledge.
Well, Andy, did he express any remorse for the consequences that could result from the disclosure of confidential information for people who were serving their country ably. Any type of remorse?
You know, honestly, I didn't press Assange on the military issue. This is not a story for me about the government. I think that story is over. There's been so much discussion on both sides of, is Assange a villain for, endangering our troops, or is he a hero for exposing the corruption of the war? I think, I'm focused on the next step, which is the fact that, government has had its embarrassments. Now it's time for business to face the same kinds of trials.
Well, and as he says, as his notoriety increases, his pipeline of leaks is just going to get fatter and fatter. He's going to get a lot more tips from a lot more people. It's an interesting piece in Forbes. Andy, appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Andy Greenberg.
Great to be on.